To another episode here on my channel. My name is ChaosMole, and today we are talking about the Outriders New Horizon update, which is probably out by now. Like the moment I'm releasing this video, it's probably out, and there are a lot of big changes coming to Outriders. Keep in mind, I'm also recording this video right now live. So if I'm sometimes talking to some people, it's my chat. I'm not talking to myself, even though that wouldn't be too uncalled for. But no, I'm talking to my chat here. And, well, Outriders came out this year. Yes, if you have forgotten, Outriders came out this year. And it was announced as a non-live service game, right? It's like the full package. Yes, there will be some patches here and there will be some bug fixes, there will be some balance changes now and then, but it is not a live service game. And the more the people played this game, people realized that no, like it kinda is a live service game, but without the patches? Like I took this example before, but it's like having a Coca-Cola, slapping Dr. Pepper on it, and telling people this is Dr. Pepper. It's like, no, it's still a Coke. Like I can taste it. It's a Coke. And that's a little bit what they have tried with Outriders here. Like there were definitely a lot of like balance issues and like content which was still missing, where people were just like, this is normally what we would see in a live service game. So where are the updates? And the devs were like, what do you mean with updates? This is not a live service game. And it was like contradicting itself a little bit. So people were hoping that something big is in development and that they just have not forsaken the game. And as it turns out, there is. The New Horizon update is coming out today. As I said, should be out when you are seeing this video on YouTube. And they are also working on the first expansion, right? So let's have a look at the New Horizon update spotlight and let's take a deep dive on it. Shall we? Let's. Yes.
Hello everyone, Sven here to give you the
Hey,
full lowdown
Sven.
on what exactly this massive new update brings to the table. As we have always said, Outriders is not a live service game, although we have constantly updated and improved the player experience.
Yeah, I
Focused
said this
our
before.
attentions on the core game to ensure players receive the game they deserve.
Like,
and we intend
just because you don't call it a live service game,
focus has
right?
allowed us to improve Outriders
But
in a
everything
growing
is
number
feeling
of
like a
ways.
live service
And in our
game.
commitment, we have gone to town. Now,
Eh.
a few short months later, we'd like to lift the hood on how we improved Outriders and show you exactly what we've been working on. Okay, let's take it from the top. When Outriders originally launched, the endgame experience players were having sadly didn't quite align with what you wanted and what we expected.
Yeah.
This was arguably our greatest challenge to resolve.
That
Rewards
was...
expeditions were granted based on how quickly you could complete an expedition. For most players, this meant forcing themselves into a specific playstyle.
This is exactly like the biggest problem, right? Like very much people said right from the beginning, oh my god, I'm feeling like a demigod in this game. It's fantastic. And then the end game hit and all your ideas you have for a class, like if you wanted to be like a super strong tank, a healer, support class, DPS, was basically thrown out of the window because you had those time attacks. You wanted to do an expedition, you had to do it on time. And that forced you in builds, and very specific builds. It was not like that you had like 20 builds to choose from or even like 4 builds to choose from. Like there was basically one build you have to run, because even in the off chance that you are missing the golden goal for 2 seconds, you would not get the same loot. And the difference would be significant. So you were always under pressure and everyone were playing damage. Like, I was playing with friends, right? And I actually wanted to play like a tank who was standing in front of my friends, like taking the punish, like reverting bullets and all that. I wanted to be a cool support tank. Not feasible. Absolutely not feasible. Because if you wanted to manage to get there in time, you better skill damage. Or another buddy of mine wanted to be DPS, but he wanted to focus on weapons and the weapon damage. Was not feasible. If you wanted to do damage, you had to go ability power, and you had to push that. And he was kind of unhappy about it and then stopped playing at some point. So, and then they also nerfed builds. Like that was the weirdest thing, where they had like those top 5 builds. They took those top 5 builds, and instead of like buffing the other ones, they were nerfing the top 5 builds so much that people then switched to other builds which were kind of getting close to it, but never topped like the top 5. And like again, there was like a lot of grief with the time attack on the expedition. And I think that was the reason why a lot of people just stopped playing. Because, yes, the amount of talents you have in Outriders is crazy. Like, there's so much things you can do. But because the game is telling you you have to beat this level in 3 minutes, you never really had a choice.
Based on damage per second only.
Yeah.
This stifled build diversity.
Absolutely.
And the tremendous creativity our players bring to the table.
You had to play one specific build.
Now have no timer by default.
Thank you.
Finishing an expedition,
it also fixes so many balance issues.
will earn you that expedition's reward.
Like they don't have to balance stuff anymore.
So that even expeditions that fundamentally take longer to finish will still be,
because now it doesn't matter if you finish an expedition in 15 minutes or if you finish an expedition in 10 minutes. Like, as long as you can finish the expedition with your build, you are good. How long that takes does not matter. And that helps the developers so much to basically balance out skills and balance out like builds in general, because they don't have to give a damn about the timer anymore.
be respectful of your time as a player and will feel rewarding to complete.
Cool.
This means that you won't need to sprint to the end of an expedition in
Awesome.
order to get the best possible loot.
Yes.
You can take as long as you want and play an experiment with the character build of your choosing.
Yeah.
All without being punished. You can still run a timed expedition if
Ugh.
you prefer, but this would be only for bragging rights,
Yeah,
not for improved rewards.
Yeah.
At launch, grinding for legendary gear wasn't fun and didn't feel rewarding enough, even when playing on the highest difficulty levels. It was also very hard to find specific items due to the random nature of the system.
It was really frustrating, especially when you were going for set items and you were going for a very specific build. Like, I played the Devastator. Devastator? Are they called Devastator? I hope they're called Devastator. If not, I just outed myself as a noob. You know, the Earth dudes who is playing around with dirt. I was liking to play around with dirt. And I had a very strong bleeding build. It was one of the top 5 builds. But the problem is everything non-bleeding related was completely bust for me. Like, oh, you don't increase my bleeding? You don't give me more power in that area? Well, then I don't care. And I had to look for very, very specific items, and it was completely random. There was no way how I could farm this. I just had to pray to the RNG gods and hope that they give me the loot I wanted. Like, it was very frustrating. Will you be playing Outriders again on stream? Maybe. I definitely would check it out when the expansion is coming out. But before that, maybe. We have too many games right now.
100% increase to all legendary drop rates.
Nice.
We also developed an anti-duplication system, which reduces the likelihood of players getting items they already own.
Awesome.
Furthermore, another change made to expeditions that will benefit legendary loot hunters is the final mission. The Eye of the Storm will now grant you a pick and choose legendary item reward upon completion.
That is so amazing. That is so good.
Options being randomly pulled directly from the full loot pool.
I mean, sure, it's still random, right? But at least you now have a choice. Before that, you did the Eye of the Storm, and it was basically the same thing as everyone, like every other expedition. It's like, okay, I did just this extreme hard and last expedition of the game, and I could have just go do Boomtown and run that for 5 minutes, get the same reward. Like, why did I do this? Right, and now you have a reason for this.
Thiago more useful. Thiago's shop now offers options for a mystery
nice
purchase, and you can spend drop pod resources to reroll this elite offer.
Yes. That was also so problematic, right, with Thiago. Like, again, if he didn't have the items you needed for your build, he was completely useless. Like, yes, he was helpful in the first, let's say, 2 to 3 hours of your expedition time. And then when you started to actually get some equipment from the expeditions, some legendaries from the expedition, Thiago he became useless. Like, I was literally not checking on him anymore because his items didn't change. Yeah, sure, the epics did change, but I was in legendary gear. I was looking for best in slot legendary gear at this point and not at epics anymore. And he just felt... He was just sitting there. I never talked to him because I didn't need him anymore.
Getting all the legendary gear in the game is all well and good. But what if you want to look a certain way, but your build relies on mods or a set bonus that is only available on a certain piece of gear? It's one of the most requested features from you so far.
Transmog.
We've added transmogrification, which will let you change the visual
aspect
of an item to that of another.
I don't have to pause here because they're talking a lot about transmog.
Includes all sounds. Pretty cool, huh? Transmogging is entirely free. No,
like, they should have had this
or in-game resources
right from the beginning.
There's no limit to how often an item can be transmogrified.
Like, there was so much good-looking stuff in the game where it was just like, oh my god, that looks so good. And then I put on the set item, and I looked like a clown. And I was like,
check out a few examples. Say you really love the look of your Devastator legendary gear set.
No, I didn't.
Just wished your badass trickster could wear it while maintaining your
no, the other way around, please.
With just a few clicks in the visual customizer, your wish can now become a reality. After changing the look from the Trespasser set to
that
the
looks
Marshal set,
it's so easy.
Your trickster build with all its abilities is still the same, but now you're sporting a mean Devastator look.
That's cool.
Anomaly Effigy is an effing awesome
There's no PvP in the game.
Sometimes it's one of those days where you just don't feel like
there is no MMO part in the game where you can get confused for another class.
You prefer your gun to look like one of the newly introduced weapons from the New Horizon update.
Ooh.
Given you already found a Runa Scythe, you just need
new
to
items?
onto your effigy.
I love new items. Oh, that's all sinewy and flesh and ooh.
Underneath the new look is all the functions of the Anomaly Effigy. Power and perks included.
Cool.
Transmog truly lets you express your style whilst keeping that perfect
awesome.
that has been tuned to
they also had some really amazing leveling gear.
If you want to run into the Eye of the Storm with rusted gear, do it.
Yeah.
If you missed that first legendary gun you sported, bring it back. If you have the Hellranger's pack and want your pyro to look like a badass biker, well, you know the drill by now.
Cool.
Visual customizer and raise some hell.
Like, again, this should have been there.
Want to lose track of what items you already transmogged in your inventory. That's why customized gear will be marked by this new symbol.
Ah.
Another important
smart.
Note, you do not have to dismantle any gear to acquire the design for it.
Oh.
As soon as it pops up in your inventory, it'll be part of your transmog collection.
Awesome.
Can you fill and complete your transmog library?
So you don't have to destroy anything.
The New Horizon update release, we
Right.
have another little cool something for you. Everyone
my.
logging on this week, and that means new and existing players, will receive a unique legendary armor piece.
Ooh. Well, I have to get that.
Awesome changes, but feel like you've already completed everything there is to do in Outriders?
I want that chair.
A new expedition would be nice, you say. We hear you. How about 4? And how about for free?
That's sort of such a bait.
We added 4 brand new and massive expeditions.
Nice.
To previously unexplored areas of Enoch. Each featuring an exciting mini-story, connecting you with characters and events experienced in the main campaign. Molten Depths will send you back to Eagle Peaks. When a drop pod signal
Cool.
activated, Dunham investigated and found a hidden power station. In order to take it back online, she wants you to clear out the station from any unwanted tenants, no matter the size, shape, and form. The city of NOMADS.
I mean, more expedition is great. I think there was always like a good chunk of expeditions, but having more variety. Who would I be here to complain? Like, there's not much I can say about this besides of I believe that there were enough expeditions at launch, but I think having more of them never hurts. So, yes please.
Last but not least, the Wellspring. Tiago told you about the Pax legend of a sacred place called Atuma Itaru, where pilgrims would take long travels to sacrifice their treasures into deep wells.
Man, those still shots look still
You and your team
freaking
are in
amazing.
search of those forgotten riches. If it wasn't for this tremendous storm that seems to get stronger and stronger.
Oh my.
Even new expedition players will already have access to the first of the 4 fresh expeditions, with the others unlocking at challenge tier 4, 8, and 12. And without a timer requirement to get the gear, feel free to take your time and explore. That's something you should definitely keep in mind when visiting these 4 new locations.
I love that they are bringing back the Molten Spider. It was so weird that that boss was only showing up. Also, what is that phone? That the boss only showed up once in the campaign and then never again. It's like, wait, what? It was such an amazing boss fight.
Yeah, I know. You just love
I was booting up the game yesterday and I couldn't skip the intro, and I was like, are you serious? I still cannot skip this?
You're able to skip it and get into the game much quicker now. Hey, you're welcome.
So I'm glad that that is actually coming.
A number of new control settings and customization options.
Good.
A core focus for us is to enable players to experiment with build diversity
Yeah.
in a way that is the most fun to you. Using this as our guiding philosophy.
Like, as I said before, like we talked about this right at the beginning with the expeditions, right? It's like there were so many build options in this game, right? There's so much you can do. But in reality, there was basically only one or a maximum of 2 builds if you wanted to make it in the time. And a lot of people just said, look, I'm okay with losing out 10 to 15% damage in that other build I want to play if it's just fun for me. But the game is not allowing that because the game is punishing you by not getting the loot you want if you're missing out on those 10% damage. And as I said before, like, especially nowadays, like, people, especially people who are already a little bit older, love to opt into this whole, let me just run the build I want to run, which functions. I'm not talking about builds which do no damage, which don't add anything to the table. I'm not talking about broken ass builds. I'm talking about builds which are just not maximized. And Raiders, welcome in. Welcome in. Give me a minute here.
Way that is the most fun to you. Using this as our guiding philosophy, we focused on buffing players, gear, and skills for all 4 classes. If you stop playing shortly after launch and are only getting back into the game now,
like especially the nerfs at the beginning, the nerfs at the beginning were just so unjustified. Like, yeah, everyone was using like those special bullets, which would give them an insane amount of DPS because they needed it for the time attacks. It's not like that people necessarily wanted to use those builds, that they wanted to use those talents. And instead of just like taking a look at the other talents, they were nerfing the bullets. And it's like, why are you punishing the people who are using the bullet builds instead of just making the other things stronger?
You will feel tankier and will deal more damage.
Cool.
Maybe take some of your previously neglected skills out for a spin too. Trust me,
yeah,
it'll be worth it.
Hopefully now, because now I don't have to focus on DPS anymore.
Have fully functioning crossplay across all platforms.
That would be neat.
Stadia. Matchmaking rules have been improved to enable players to find
good. I think multiplayer for PC players was rather stable, but the more stable the better. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect. That's for sure.
Your expedition reward. And I mean, what kind of jerk would do something like that anyway? We
A
also
lot of people did.
Multiplayer crashes and disconnection issues, leading to an overall much more stable
if you
experience.
got random, yeah.
And I think that's actually about it for now. If you're after more detail, be sure to drop by the Outriders social channels over the next couple days, where we will be deep diving on the finer points of all these great changes.
Nice.
We hope you are as excited as we are for the New Horizon update, and we can't wait to share more about the exciting future ahead. Thank you again for your relentless support, and please stay healthy out there.
Awesome. Yeah, New Horizon is coming out today. Like as I said, if you're watching this on YouTube, you should be able to download it that moment. And that's pretty fantastic. Like as I said, like all those changes were pretty much requested since the early days of the game. It's a bit unfortunate that it took that long. Like, yes, they said it's not a live service game. Like we talked about this before. I was like, yeah, it's not a live service game, but you kinda are? You just don't call it that? So it's like, yeah, but thankfully all those changes are coming in. It's a completely free update. I will probably check it out, probably not on stream, but just like off stream, maybe with some buddies of mine. And then I'm definitely looking forward to the expansion. But this might actually be what the game needed. Like, I know this is such a simple thing, and we talked about it now for the last 20 minutes, but removing those time attacks on the expedition is so crucial. Like, it fixes so many underlying issues. And I'm glad that they do. I'm really glad that they do. But yeah, this is the New Horizon update. As I said, it will be available, or should be available now to everyone. And it is, of course, completely free. The game is also available on Game Pass, if you have it. That goes for consoles and PC now. But the demo is also still out there if you are somebody who only wants to own games, more or less. There's a demo. They're also adding apparently some stuff to the demo as well. So if you want to check it out, I think now with the newest update would be the best time. With that said, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like on your way out. It would help me a great deal. If you didn't like this video, well, the dislike button is right next to it. And if you're new to the channel, you want to see more gaming news, deep dive videos, tips and tricks for new games coming up, reaction videos to gaming events, you came to the right place. And I would appreciate if you might leave a subscription, which would also help me out a great deal. So thank you very much for that. And with that said, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.